Welcome everyone, as we learn Chok Yisrael for Parshas Naso, Yom Revi, Day 4, Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Vayiyu Pikudeim L'Mishpachaisam, and the number for the Bnei Kahas, according to their families, Alpaim Shva Meos V'Chamishim, 2,750. Vavo minyonei lizar yasan train alfen shvam ovachamshin. Elip kudei mishpachos hakahasi. This is the count of the family of Kahasi. Kol ha'ovid ba'el moed, all those that worked in the Mishkan. Asher pakad Moshe v'Aaron, which Moshe and Aaron counted al pi Hashem, according to the instructions of Hashem. Biyad Moshe, in the hands of Moshe. Ilan minyonei zayaras kahas. Kol the palach b'mashkan zimna di mina Moshe v'Aaron al memra d'Adonai. B'yadad Moshe, P'kudei b'gnei Gershon, and the count of the children of Gershon l'mishpachaisam, according to their families of Esav, according to their father's household. L'minyonei b'nei Gershon l'Zariyasan l'Esav Osan, miben shloshim shana v'malav ad ben chamishim shana, from 30 years old and above till 50 years old. Kol ha'bal tzavo, whoever comes to gather la'avoda for service ba'el moed in the Mishkan. Mibar tlas and shnin u'leil vad bar chamshin shnin kol dosi l'chel l'fulchana b'mashkan zimna v'yu p'kudeim l'mishpachaisam, and their count according to their families, beis avosim, according to their father's house, alpayim v'sheish meos u'shloshim, 2,630. V'abo minyonean l'zariyasan l'beis avohasan train alfen v'shisma oslosin. Eila p'kudeim mishpachais b'nei Gershon. This is the count of the families of b'nei Gershon. Kol ha'ovid ba'el moed, all those that worked in the Mishkan. Asher pakad Moshe v'Aaron, that Moshe and Aaron counted al pi Hashem, by the instructions of Hashem. Ilan minyonei zarayas b'nei Gershon, called the palach b'mashkan zimna. Dimena Moshe v'Aaron al memra d'Adonai. Now we continue. This is a very rare that we don't even have one Rashi in the Chok of Chumash, but that's the way it is on this fourth day of Parshas Naso. Now remember, Manoach had asked that the Malach should come back a second time after the Malach appeared to his wife, and the Malach acquiesced and came back a second time. Vayomer Manoach al Malach Hashem, and Manoach addressed the Malach Hashem, Mi Shmecha, what is your name? Ki yavai devarecha, in order that if an agent comes and mentions your name, v'chibadnucha, that we should respect the agent and listen to his words. Vayomer Malach Hashem, and the Malach Hashem said, Lama zetisha l'shmi, why do you ask my name? V'hu feli. And Rashi says, V'hu feli means that it's covered. In other words, it's changing, and I don't even know what it's going to change to on each day, because a person's name is his mission, and the Malach is only given one mission at a time, and therefore he doesn't know what the next mission is, and therefore his name changes according to his new mission. Vayikach Manoach es kriya izim es hamincha. Manoach took the kid of the goat and the meal offering, vayal al atzur la Hashem, and offered it up on a rock, which was made into a makeshift mizbeach to Hashem. Mafli lasais, and a wondrous thing happened. Manoach and his wife saw. What was the wondrous thing? Vayhi ba'alois halav me'al mizbeach, when the fire went up from the mizbeach that they were burning and smoking up the kid of the goat, a young goat, to Hashem, when the lav went up Hashemayim heavenward, Vayal Malach Hashem b'lav hamizbeach, and the angel went into the fire and also went up. Manoach v'ishtei roim, and Manoach and his wife saw. Now remember, Manoach thought it was a navi, and now he realized that it was an angel of Hashem. Vayiplu al pneim arza, and they fell upon their face to the ground. V'lo Yosef od Malach Hashem lehiroyis el Manoach v'lishtei. The Malach never came again to appear to Manoach and his wife. Oz yoda Manoach, then Manoach knew ki Malach Hashem hu, that it wasn't a navi, but it was an angel of Hashem. Now Manoach was very worried that they would die because they saw an angel of Hashem. Manoach said to his wife, Mois namus, we will surely die, because we saw an angel of God. His wife we'll see the next share, that his wife will assure him that it wasn't sent that they should die. But I want to point out something, a very practical value over here, that it says that it was mafli lasais. It was something wondrous that they saw this angel go into the fire that was on the tzur and go up to heaven. That's a pella. But remember that every time we make Ashayatza, we say the same thing, Roifei kol basar or mafli lasais. And just like it's a pella to see an angel go up in flame, it's also a pella every time we see that our body automatically, without us giving it instructions, without us knowing what's good and what's bad, separates the waste from the good stuff and automatically sends it out of our body in such a smooth way, without any trouble and without any of our knowledge. It selects what is good and keeps it in the body, the proteins, the amino acids, and the waste it takes out. That's mafli lasais. And of course also in Shulchan Aruch it says that it's mafli lasais. It's wondrous that here we are, we live on a soul, which is a spirit, and yet we have many holes in our bodies. We have many orifices, our ears, our nose, our nostrils. We have many openings, and yet if you have a balloon full of air, you make a little pinprick and the balloon deflates. And yet we survive only because of the ruach and the neshama, and even though we have many holes, it still remains intact. And that Shulchan Aruch says is also mafli lasais. Now we go on to Mishlei, where we continue talking about the Eishes Chayil, and we see that the Eishes Chayil is very industrious. Zoma Masada, she plotted to buy a field. She made plans, she set her eyes on it, and she was able to buy it. And the pre-kapeh, from that which she collects from her palms and squirrels away money, not to karam. She slowly builds a vineyard. She's very resourceful. She's very industrious. Chagra ba'oizmas, now she girds with strength her thighs in order to be able to work bezrizos, but to ametz rosah, and she powers her arms to be able to put in a lot of effort on behalf of her family. Toma kitov sakra, she tastes and she perceives that her merchandise is good, and she is not lazy. Lo yichbe b'layla neira, she doesn't put out the light even in the night. She works into the night. Yodeh shilcha bakisha, in those days they did work with wool and linen. Yodeh shilcha bakisha, she extends her hand to the kishar, that's the keli that has the yarn wrapped around it, v'chaper tamchu falech, and her palms administer the spindle for the weaving process. Kappa parsel ani, she's very kind. She extends her palm to the poor person, v'yodeh shilcha le'evyain, and she stretches out her hand to the needy. Loisira leveisa mishalak, her home will not be afraid of the cold of snow, kicho beisa lavushanim, because she made sure to provide her whole family with scarlet warm garments in order to keep them warm. And now our adventure for today is in the 5th parak of Sanhedrin. And remember, we were talking about how we do the bedikas, the examination of the witnesses. They asked them 7 questions. Be'ezeh shvua, when what you saw in which one of the years of the Shemitah cycle. Be'ezeh shana, and after they say which year in the Shemitah cycle, then Be'ezeh shvua, which Shemitah of the Yovel? Is it the first Shemitah of the Yovel, the second Shemitah of the Yovel? Be'ezeh shana, what year of the Shemitah? Be'ezeh chodesh, what month? Bekama b'chodesh, what day of the month? Be'ezeh yom, what day of the week? Be'ezeh shah, what hour? Or be'ezeh makom, in what place? Rabbi Yossi says they only asked 3 such questions. Be'ezeh yom, on what day of the week? Be'ezeh shah, what hour? And be'ezeh makom, what place? Then they asked him, Akira Matamaisai, did you know him? Did you recognize him? The person that committed the murder, or that was Michal Shabbos, Hisrei somebody? Did you give him Asra? Did you give him warning? And if the accusation was about idolatry, Esmi Ovid, who did the person worship? Ubameh Ovid. And what kind of worship? Did he bow down? Did he offer a carbon? Did he offer a libation? Whoever, whenever the court asks more questions, that's to be praised, to make sure that everything is honest. Maisa, there was an incident, there was a person, witnesses came to testify about a murder that happened under a fig tree, and Ben Zakkai inquired, Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai inquired of the witnesses whether the stem of the figs were thick or thin. Now, what's the difference between examination and a checkup? Chakirais, the examinations which define the rudimentary facts of what happened. If one says, I don't know when it happened, we cancel the whole testimony. But dikais, if it's just background information, like how thick the stems were, if one says he doesn't know, even if both say they don't know, still edus and kayemes, still the testimony can be upheld. We just have to make sure that they don't contradict each other. Whether it's the basic questions or the further cross-examination, when they contradict one another, edus and betela, we throw out the testimony. Now, there are times that even though they contradict each other, we can assume it's only because of a human error, and we could still accept the testimony. And therefore, if one said it happened on the 2nd of the month, and one said it happened on the 3rd of the month, edus and kayemes, we still uphold the testimony, because we just say the one knew about the fact that we made the previous month a 30-day month, and the other one did not know that, so that's why they were off a day. However, if one said it was on the 3rd of the month, and one said it's on the 5th of the month, then they do some betela. Then we throw out the testimony. Remember, they didn't have digital clocks in those days. So if one witness said it happened in the 2nd hour of the day, and one witness said it happened in the 3rd hour of the day, that's a likely error. So edus and kayemes. But if one said it was on the 3rd hour, one said on the 5th hour, that's too much of a distance, then edus and betela, we throw out the testimony. Rabbi Yehuda says, since on a rainy day, they could make a mistake even with 2 hours, kayemes. But if one says it was in the 5th hour of the day, and the other one says it's the 7th hour of the day, then for sure I do some betela, because the sun is in a different position. Because at the 5th hour the sun is in the east, the Risheva it's already setting, and the Chama is b'marav, and the sun is in the west. Now, they grill one witness, then they grill the second witness, and they ask the same questions. If we find that their testimony matches, so then poiskin b'schus. Then as we start to deliberate, so we first open up in merit, and we tell him. We tell the defendant that if he didn't sin, he shouldn't worry. If he didn't sin, he shouldn't worry. Are you ready, Meir Bracha? If one of the witnesses says, Yesh li lelamed olav schus, I have an argument for his acquittal, in front of the judges, the 23 judges of the of the Supreme Court. There had to be 23 judges by a capital case, and in front of them were rows of students. If one of the students said, Yesh li lamid olav chayva, I have an argument for conviction, Mishaskan, said, we don't accept it. But if one of the students says, Yesh li lamid olav schus, I have an argument for acquittal, Malin, I say, we bring him up, and we add him to the judges. And even if he says something that's ein by mamish, even if he says something which really is worthless, we don't send him down the entire day in order that Talmidim should not be hesitant to give an argument for acquittal. So therefore, we don't embarrass him, and we let him stay there the whole day. Now, on the other hand, if he says something of value, im yesh mamish b'dvarav, then shaymin lay, then we listen to him and we keep him up there. Va'afilu hu oimer yesh li lelamin al atzmi schus, even if the defendant says, I have an argument on my behalf, shaymin lay, we listen to him, v'vachi yesh mamish b'dvarav, as long as he's not just trying to stall and he's not saying narishkeit. Im lo tzalei schus, if they argue for his acquittal, then petaru, we send him home. V'imlav, if not, then we don't convict right away. Ma'virin dinoi l'machar, we postpone the case till the next day. And hoyim is davgin zugais. The dayanim break up into pairs. Or mamatim b'machar, they eat sparingly, they eat a little. They don't drink wine the whole day. And they debate the issue the entire night. And on the morrow they get up, they come to Bezdin. Those that argue for acquittal say, I argue for acquittal and I maintain my position. And the one that argues for conviction says, Ani mechayev, I say we convict the mechayev ani b'mekayim, and I stand by my conviction. The person that had argued initially for conviction, he can change his mind for acquittal. But those that argued initially for acquittal, they can't change position at this point. If they made an error in what their original position was, the two court stenographers, they remind them what their position is. If they find him to be innocent, they send him home. If not, they take a vote. If remember, it's 23. So if 12 say he's innocent and 11 say he's chayiv, zakai. So then we acquit with a majority of 1. So therefore we acquit him. If 12 say he's guilty and 11 say he's innocent, in order to convict, you need a majority of 2. So that's not good enough. If it's 11 against 11, and one says I don't know, we don't come to a conclusion because we need to have a decision of 23. Even if 22 say innocent or 22 say guilty, so you don't have a decision of 23, we add more judges. Now, ad kama masif, and how do we add? Shnayim, we add 2 at a time, and if it keeps on getting deadlocked, then ad shimon v'echad, we add until 71. Now, with 71, if you have shloishim v'shishim mezakin and shloishim v'chamishim v'chayven, 36 say innocent and 35 say guilty, so then you have a majority of 1 for innocent, zakai, we acquit him. Shloishim v'shishim v'chayven v'shloishim v'chamishim mezakin, if you have 36 saying guilty and 35 saying innocent, we don't have a majority of 2. Then done in Elu, we can't add any more 2 because we don't add more than 71. So done in Elu keneged Elu, they litigate one against the other. Achiru echad min achayvin divrei mezakin, until one of those that said to convict change his mind and say that he's innocent, or and then you will have, to the contrary, you'll have a majority of 1 of innocence. Or it could be that you'll have two to convict, a majority of two, and then you'll take a convict. It doesn't say that because at the end they could change from innocent to conviction at the Gemara Din, but it doesn't say that because it rather would say a maskana l'schus for acquittal. Now the Gemara tells us, "V'amar Rav Acha bar Chanina, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, ad kama mevarchen ala chodesh." Until how late in the month can you do Kiddush Levana? So tismale pigimasa, until its blemish, the blemish of the moon, becomes full. The kama, till what time of the month is that? Amar Rav Yaakov bar Idi, Amar Rav Yehuda ad Shiva, until the 7th of the month. Nardoyim rei ad Shisha Asur, until the 16th of the month. Now, the Travay Reb Yochanan Svirlu, they both hold like Reb Yochanan. When the blemish is full, the question is what's considered full. The one that says 7, so that's when it's like a bow. In other words, a half moon. Nafia, the one that says until the 16th, means until it becomes like a sieve, in other words, a full circle. But even after 7, shouldn't you make the bracha of Hatoiv HaMeitiv, because Hashem was good and He's doing more good? Amalei atu kichasu, when the moon wanes and it starts disappearing, mi mevarchinan dayan ha'emes, do we make the bracha of a true judge, like it's a loss, the livrach hatoiv ha'meitiv, when it grows? So the Gemara says, so taka, let's do that. When the moon fulls, when the moon fulls, we should make hatoiv ha'meitiv. When the moon starts to disappear, we should say dayan ha'emes. Says the Gemara, no. Since this is normal and it happens every month, we don't say Dayan Emes and we don't say Hatoiv HaMeitiv. Kevan Hainu Orche, since that's the normal thing that happens, Loi Mevarchinan, we don't make such a bracha. V'amar Rav Acha bar Chanina, Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, Kol HaMavarich ala Chodesh Bizmanai, whoever says Kiddush Levana in its time, Ki'ilu Mekabel Pnei Shechina, it's as if he's greeting the Shechina. How do we know that? Because Ksiv Ha'acha Chodesh Hazeh, this month, the Ksiv Ha'asam, and connected to Zeh, it says Zeh Keli Vanveyu. This is my God, and I will glorify Him. So when we go to greet the new moon, it's like greeting the Shechina. Tanur B'rei Rabbi Yishmael, Ilmali Lo Yizachu Yisrael Al Hakva Pnei Avim Shebeshmaim Kol Chodesh V'Chodesh. If the only mitzvah we had would be to greet Hashem every month when we bench the new moon, dayam. It would be enough to be born just for that. Amar Abaye, since it's Kabbalah's Pnei Hashchina, Hilkach Nemrinu Mu'umad, we say it's standing. And for that matter, Rabbi say, that's why we try to do it on a Matzah Shabbos, because that's when we're wearing our nice Shabbos-tika clothing. If you knew that you were going to be Mekadesh the Chodesh during the week, and you knew the day that you were going to be Mekadesh the Chodesh, it would be a reason to put on your Shabbos-tika clothing, for sure. Meraymer Mazutra, who were already older Zekanim, Mikasvei, we'll take out the word Adodi. Mikasvei umavarche, the Avodim would carry them on their shoulders in order that they should be able to be Mavarech Ba'amida. Amalei Rav Acha Rav Ashi, B'Marava Mavarche Baruch Mechadesh Chodashim. In Marava, they would make the bracha of Mechadesh Chodashim, who renews the new moon. Says the Gemara, Amalei Hai Nishedi Don Nami Mavarchi. This even women would be able to make a bracha because it's so short. Now, since women do not make this bracha, it's mashma that it's a longer bracha. And the Gemara says, indeed, like our nusach, Elik Reb Yehuda, Dam Reb Yehuda Baruch, through His word, because we know B'dvar Hashem Shemayim Naso, Asher b'mamoroi barash chakim, with His word He created the heavens, uveruach piv, and the breath of His mouth, kol tzavam, all of its hosts, chayku zman, a law and schedule, nasan lahem, He gave the moon and the luminaries, shelo yeshanu es tafkidam, they shouldn't change their route, and sasim usmeichem, they are rejoiced and happy, lasais ritzayin kainam, to do the will of the Creator, poyalei emes, true laborers, shepulas and emes, they do their work with truth and exactness. As we know, the Moiled Levana is to the millisecond. Vala Levana Amar, and to the moon it says shetischadesh ateres teferes, that it should renew its wondrous crown. La'amuse vatin, to the Jews that are supported from the womb. She'ein asidim l'skadesh k'maisa, and the Jews will renew itself like the moon. Ulefar liyarzam, and to glorify their Creator. Al shem kavod malchusay, on his glorious, the name of his glorious kingship. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, v'chadesh chadashim, who renews the new moon. And now we have a very interesting zayah. This is a very interesting zayah. Reb Chizkiah opens up with a pasuk in Tehillim, Eshtecha kegefen paria. Now we're going to darshan Eshtecha from a lashon of Ishtecha, your wife, is kegefen paria, like a fruitful vine. So ma gefen loy mikabeles Allah ela midida, a vine only accepts a graft from its own type. Kach itzasa di Yisrael kaima b'hai gavna. So also a Yiddish wife exists in this way. The loy mikabla Allah elahu bar zuga. She only accepts relations from her mate. Kishafnina da, like a dove. The loy mikabla elahu bar zuga. The dove that shows tremendous fidelity and only mates with its own mate. That's the fidelity and loyalty of a dove. Valda kigefen paria, like a fruitful vine, biyarkase beisecha, in the innards of your house. Mal paria, what does it mean, paria? Kmodat oma pore rosh, to be fruitful. Paria, so too the woman will, parachas will spread out, apikas anafim l'chol sitra, and she'll have branches from all sides, all kinds of children. V'an, when will she be worthy of this bracha? Biyarkasei beisecha, when she stays in the loins of your house. V'lav levar b'shuka. And not that she's a yatzanis, that she goes out in the streets. In other words, called kvuda bas melech panima. Begin the loitese l'shakra b'vris ilah, because she shouldn't come to falsify the holy covenant. This is the covenant of the Shechina. U'shleima Omer, as Shleima says about a zayna, a prosta woman, ha'ozeves aluf nureh, who forsakes the learning of her youth, ve'es bris elokeha shochecha, and she forgets the covenant of the Shechina. Man bris elokeha, hahu asar de ikre bris, that's the Shechina that's called bris, v'hi is kashra bei, and if she is faithful, then she unites with that bris elokeha. Begin kach biyarkasei beisecha, because of the fact that she stays in the interior of her home. Amar Rav Chizkiah, tunva leisei, a stupor. Tunva is tirav das, a confusion should come. Ahu al hahu barnosh, on a man, the shavak leinsei, who lets his wife, the tiskaze misara dereisha levar, who lets his wife uncover her hair in public. V'dohu chad me'inon sniusa debeisa, and this is the opinion of the Zayar. Zayar is very strong on this, and this is something that should be practiced in modesty, even in the home. The itza da apikas misara de reisha levar is taknabe, and a woman that exposes and puts out the hair of her head outside from under a covering in order to be beautiful with it, Gorim miskinosa lebeisa, she causes poverty to her home. V'gorim libnoha delo yischashvun bedara, and it causes that our children shouldn't be considered important in their generation. V'gorim mila achra d'shari bebeisa, she causes also something else, which the Mefarshim on the Zayah say is a ruach tumah, to devolve upon the home. Ban gorim da, what causes this? Hahu Sarah, that's her hair, this chaze mereshe levar, that is exposed from her head outside. Umaba beisahai, and if you have to be careful about this in your own home, kol shrei mishuka, then for sure outside in the street. Now, if you have to be careful just with hair, the kol shechein chatifusa achra, if she uncovers parts of her body, or she sings outside, that's even worse. Or begin kach, and when she's careful, then eshtecha kegefen paria. Then your wife will be like a fruitful vine, because she's in the privacy of your home. Amr Yehuda Sarah Dereisha Itza Disgalia, the hair of a woman that gets uncovered, Garim Sarah Achra Liisgalia, causes other hair, the hair of din, the hair that has chitzonis attached to it, to be uncovered, ulaf gamala, and it causes it to harm her. Begin kach boy itza dafilu tesire debesa, that even the beams of her own home, lo yemen sarah chad mereshe, should not see even one hair on her head. This is why some people shave the head, and it's not only because it's sneers, it's even in the house, and some people are very careful to wear a tichel in their own home. Kol shchein levar, and surely that's the way it is outside. Tochazi, come and see, just like by a man, the hair is the most base part. But it's not as much as by a woman. We also cover our hair, but it's not as much as by a woman. But hachinami lenukva, and the Mefarshim of the Zayah say a woman's hair has more a din and chitzanius attached to it. Pukami, come and see, kama pegima garam hahu sarad itza, how much blemish is caused by the hair of the woman. Garim leila causes harm above, garim lesatar causes harm below, garim lebala de islatya, it causes our husband to be cursed because he doesn't rebuke her for going out this way. Garim miskenusa, it causes poverty. Garim shemila achra bebeisa, it causes mila achra bebeisa, it causes tumah in the home. Garim di yistelek chashivusa mibnaha, it causes importance to leave her children. Rachmanali sheizvan mechatziva delain, Hashem should spare us from the chutzpah of going out with uncovering hair. V'alda boy itzl iskasya, even bezivuse debeisa, and therefore a woman should cover herself even in the corners of her home. The of this cane, and if she does this, maksiv, what is the reward that it says? Banecha k'shesile zeisim, your children will be like olive shoots. Now, mo k'shesile zeisim, why olive shoots? Ma zayis da, an olive bein besitfo bein bekaita lo yisavidu tafoy. An olive grove is fresh and it has growth on it both in the winter and in the summer. It always has growth on it. It has importance more al shar ilanin than other trees. So also if a woman is careful, our children will be raised with importance al shar b'nei alma, more than everybody else. Our husband will be blessed with all brachas, with brachas above, and sata, and brachas below, with wealth, with children and grandchildren. So will be blessed the man of Yirei Hashem, of God-fearing. Hashem will give blessings from Tzion. We will see in the goodness of Yerushalayim. Your sons, there will be sons to your sons, which will bring Shalom al Yisrael, blessing on Yisrael. Wow, what a beautiful thing. And now we learn the Musar from Sefer Chasidim. Ashrei ish yoreyas Hashem. Fortunate is the man that has fear of Hashem. B'mitzvoisav chafetz ma'od. His mitzvahs he is very desirous of. Now this says Reb Yehuda Chassid that we should desire the mitzvahs, not the reward of the mitzvahs. Darsha Rabbi Seinu and Avodah Zarah. Ashrei oiseh tshuva kishu ish. First of all, Ashrei ish yireyas Hashem. That we should do tshuva when we're young, when we still have the strength to sin. Kalai meshu b'bachrusai, when he's in his youth, u'be'uzai, and still with his full vigor. Sheyitzrei taikfa, even though he has a raging passion, v'u'miskaber love, and he prevails. That's the best time to do tshuva. B'mitzvahs chafetz ma'od. He wants the mitzvahs, not the reward of the mitzvahs. V'loi b'schar mitzvahs. V'hainu ditnan. That's what we learn in the first parak of Avos. Al tiu kavodim ha'mishamshim zorav al manasel kabel pras v'sachar. Don't be like servants that serve their master for hope of recompense and reward. In other words, we should do it because we want to do the command of Hashem. A person should consider as if he already was rewarded. The fact that he breathes, the fact that he sees, the fact that he sleeps. And he should think like this. If only I could repair that which I messed up. I didn't have kavanah in my davening, I spoke wrong, I wasn't nice to my parents. V'kol ma'aseh ani oiseh, and all that I do, min adin ein li tashlum schar b'zeh. I'm not deserving of reward. Ki kol ma'asai, all my actions, einam to'eles v'takana al kol aveinaisai. For all my actions didn't even yet do a repair of all that I messed up. V'halavai yoyali, and it would be enough if it would help for me, shaloi emet badin, that it would protect me from being punished. Even if he was completely righteous, and he never did evil, he's not entitled to anything more. Even if a person would live 1,000 years twice, he can't pay back from the smallest of the small of the good things which Hashem did for him. I once explained that imagine if a wealthy man, let's say Donald Trump, would come into Lakewood and he would pull yeshiva man off the street and say, I hear that you're learning good. I decided to give you this brand new Escalade car, and here's a titanium credit card for your shopping at Gourmet Glatt, and I want to give you, here's a checking account with $1 million in it so you could buy clothing for your family and go away to the summer and pay all your schar limud. And then he asks the young man, could you give me a ride? So the young man says, sure, and brings him into his new, spanking new Escalade and gives Mr. Trump a ride across town. And then when Mr. Trump gets out of the car, he holds up his hand and says, could I have a tip? A chutzpah, you're asking for a tip. You just got a new car, a new house, a new expense account. You want a tip? And that's what it is. We shouldn't be thinking about getting a tip from Hashem. Hashem gives us our eyesight, our ears, food, life, oxygen. So we shouldn't serve Hashem to want a tip. And now we learn finally from the Rambam of Ilchus Tefillah, V'shipchu Chachamim, the sages praised L'misha Kaireis Miris M'sefer Tilim B'chol Yom V'yom, for those that say from the Kapitlich of Tilim every day, which we know we say in Pesukah de Zimrei, Metila LeDavid, Hatzaif HaSefer, from Ashrei, which is Kapitel 145, and all of the Halalukas, Ukfar nagu likrei psukim lefneim al achreim, when we say psukim before them and after them, we say Mizmor l'Sayda before, and we say afterwards Vayivarach David. V'tiknu bracha lefnei azmiris, and there was a bracha before the Zmiris, we Baruch She'amar. We know that Baruch She'amar is a very, very holy bracha that we know came down with a tas, with a plate from Shemayim, it fell down from heaven. Or bracha la'achreim, and the bracha afterwards, we yishtabach. V'achkach mevarach al kriyashma, then we say bracha of Yetzer Or and Havarabba and Gal Yisrael, the Korek kriyashma, we say kriyashma. Yesh mekayim shenogu b'hem likrois b'chol yom achar shemavarkim yishtabach. There are places that make the bracha before, the places that after the bracha of yishtabach, they say Shiras Hayam, they say Oz Yashir. We know that we say Oz Yashir before Yishtabach. Then there's a minig, V'achkach mevarchim al Shema, and then they make the bracha of Yotzei HaMa'aris. V'yesh mekayim shekarim Shiras Hazino, from the song of Hazino. V'yesh yichidim shekarim Shtei HaShiras, both Oz Yashir and the Shiras Hazino. Hakol lefi minig, everything according to the minig. We want to thank you very much for joining us and wish you a wonderful day.